All right. And we are live. We are live and direct. 1 second, y'all. Fix that right quick. All right, man. Yeah, we are live, man. Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Winner's Diet Show. I am your host, Project Mac, aka Mac Solomon. Welcome back, man. We are back on another Wednesday evening. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. It is hump day, almost towards the weekend. So we're almost there for you guys out there that live for the weekend. Um, so yeah, man, we here though. We here. Hope everybody's having a great week. I hope everybody is enjoying their work week. I hope you guys are getting your shit done, getting all your work done. But it's another day for another Winners Diet show, man, and I'm happy to be here. We had a great show on Saturday, by the way. So I mean, Friday morning was a great show. Um, Definitely went in. 1 second. Yeah, we definitely went in on Friday, man. So that was a great show. Um, Man, we didn't even get to cover a lot of our topics because we were just deep diving in like the Charlie Kirk stuff. Um, that took like 15, 20 minutes, that whole segment. So it was we had some super chats. So you guys are starting to you guys are starting to participate in engaging with me, which I appreciate, of course. So the show was definitely going on a lot longer than expected. But yeah, but Friday morning was a great show. It was a great show. And where we're hoping that tonight is another great show. So shout out to you guys for just supporting the movement, man, supporting the Winner's Diet philosophy, supporting the Winner's Diet message. So we appreciate you guys through and through. And we just hope to, just have more engagement, more support throughout this whole ordeal. You guys know that Sunday, or I guess the end of this week, will be my 90 days of streaming, right? 90 I've so before I started this podcast or live stream, whatever you want to call it, right? Um I did dedicate 90 days of a few things. 90 days of streaming about 2 times a week. It was once a week, and then I bumped it up to 2 times a week. So I already exceeded my expectations on that. And then I also made a pact to post about 2 to 3 times on social media. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. So posting 2 to 3 times on that, and then one YouTube video per day. So you know, I've been doing that the last 90 days, man. It'll be 90 days uh at the end of this month. So I wish I had a soundboard here. I will be getting a soundboard soon. So clap it up for your boy. 90 days of streaming consistently, 2 times a week, posting every day on social media, not missing a day. I've been doing that for 90 days, man. And what I want you guys to get from that is this, man, is that you guys can do anything you want to do, right? You just got to be consistent with it. And look, I know it's only 3 months. I haven't been doing it that long. It's not like it's been like 3 years. But you guys have to understand, man, if you guys want something bad enough, you got to be willing to be consistent. And that's what I've been doing with this whole streaming thing, right? So this is not just applied to streaming. This is applied to everything else. If you want to be consistent with your workouts and your diet, well, it might take you about 3 months to completely change your whole body, right? Especially if you're someone that's really overweight. Um, It's going to take you about 3 months, 90 days to see a massive change. So if you're a little heavier, it might take you a little longer. But if you're a little bit, if you're overweight, if you got a belly, it just takes 90 days. And I wanted to show you guys because I can't be on here, talking this stuff. Hold on. I can't be out here preaching to you guys about being consistent and being motivated and you know doing things when you don't feel like it, and then I'm not doing it. I will be doing you guys a disservice. I will be a fraud, right? So the fact that even when I have a full-time job, you guys know I'm a personal trainer, so I have clients. I travel to the city a lot. That takes a long time. I commute to train my clients at the gym, all while trying to maintain, eat right, workouts, get my workouts in still, sleep at a decent hour, work on different projects. I did all that and was still consistent. So what excuse do you guys have? What's your excuse? If you can't be consistent, if you cannot be consistent for 90 days, then you don't deserve whatever it is that you want. A nice body, more money, a different life, whatever. If you are not willing to be consistent for 90 days, that's it. That's all it takes. It's 90 days to at least get momentum, right? You may not see a crazy change depending on what you're being consistent in, but if you're not willing to dedicate yourself for about 90 days, then you don't deserve whatever it is that you want. It's that simple. You can't tell me. You can't convince me because you haven't proven to anybody, you haven't proven to yourself that you even deserve these things. 90 days is the litmus test. That is the benchmark. Oh, yeah. Because you see it with companies all the time. They put you on a 90-day probation. They're waiting for you to fuck up so they can get rid of you with no questions asked, right? Most companies do this. Yeah, they're going to put you on a 90-day probation, see how you perform, see how you fit in with the company. And if within those 90 days you don't make it, they're going to get you out of there. No questions asked. That's it. So, you know, you guys have to sometimes set these markers and goals for yourself. All it takes is 3 months, at least to get momentum, at least to build habits, the right habits, right? So, shout out to me. I don't always give myself flowers because I'm always focused on the next thing. But shout out to me, man, for being consistent for 90 days with this streaming, with posting, with just showing up every single week, even when I'm tired, even when I don't feel like it. This is what is gonna make you get what you want, and it's gonna happen. And people are gonna wonder, oh, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? I was just consistent. I didn't quit. I showed up when I didn't feel like it. I did the little things. That's all it takes to get a great body, to, grow your business. It takes time, but it takes consistency. That's the biggest thing. All you got to do is do what most people are not going to do. That's be consistent. All right. Anyway, man, let's get into the show today. Sorry for that long rant. You guys know how the show goes, man. We have 3 segments. The first segment, we are talking about the Fit Report. We are reporting on fitness topics, fitness news, things in the health and wellness space, anything that relates to Winner's Diet philosophy or, the brand of it. And then we have What the Fitness, again, reacting to this time videos, viral videos about fitness, health, things that relate to Winner's Diet content. And then we have the main event, man. Main event is we're going to go pretty straightforward today. 5 things that you will notice or that will happen to you once you get in shape. So you can expect 5 things to happen to you once you guys get in shape. So we'll be breaking that down towards the end of today's show. So before we get into it, man, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. Push us up that YouTube algorithm. We're still a fairly new channel, so we need all the support we can get, man. So we appreciate you guys either way. All right. Here we go, man. I'm gonna give you guys about 5 seconds to hit that like button before we get into today's show. Okay, I'm giving y'all 5 seconds. Hit that like button. All right, did y'all hit that like button? Can we start today's show? Yes, no, maybe. All right, let's start it. All right, here we go. The first article. All right, let's get this out the way. All right, the first article says. Shit. Hold on, guys. Get that out the way. All right. I'm an AI CEO, and even I think it can be dangerous for health advice. The worst, the worst that could happen, and what to do instead. All right, so this article says a stunning medical case report published last month revealed that a 60-year-old man with no history of psychiatric or health conditions was hospitalized with paranoid psychosis and bromide poisoning after following ChatGPT's advice. Oh my goodness. The unidentified man was interested in cutting sodium chloride table salt from his diet. He ended up substituting sodium bromide, a toxic compound, for 3 months upon consultation with the AI chatbot. Bromine can replace chlorine for cleansing and sanitation, not for human consumption. This is Andy Kurtzig, CEO of the AI powered search engine Pearl.com. It was exactly the kind of error a licensed healthcare provider's oversight would have prevented, Kurtzig told the Post. That cases show how dangerous AI health advice can be. In a recent Pearl.com study, 37% of respondents reported that their trust in doctors has declined over the past year. Suspicion of doctors and hospital isn't new, but it has intensified in recent years thanks to conflicting pandemic guidance, concerns over financial motives, poor quality of care, and discrimination. Skeptics are turning to AI, with 23% believing AI's medical advice over a doctor. That worries Kurtzig. The AI CEO believes AI can be useful, but it does not and cannot substitute for the judgment, ethical accountability, or lived experience of medical professionals. Okay, so as you guys can see here, um, people are starting to be done with doctors, man. And I've been kind of critical about doctors in the past because I feel like there were points in my life where I feel like I don't want to say misdiagnosed, but I feel like I didn't get the best advice from doctors, mainly because I was getting so many different answers. Usually when something happens to you, you might go for a second opinion, maybe a third opinion, but there was a point where I broke my leg, man. I broke my leg uh about 12, 13 years ago. And you know, I was wondering what is the best solution because I had fractured my fibula from playing football in high school. And I was trying to figure out, okay, do I need a cast? Do I need surgery? And I went to like maybe 3 or 4 different doctors, and I got three or four different answers. So at that point, I was just like, bro, I'm cooked. So at this, if AI was around back then, I would have been like ChatGPT. What should I do? You know, but the thing is this, man. People are leaning heavily now towards AI, and this is just the beginning, right? Because when you look at AI, when you look at a lot of the new AI technology, a new AI content that's out right now, a lot of this stuff is still very new, right? We're maybe what 3 years into AI, so AI really is still a baby at this point, right? We're kind of in like the early stages of Microsoft, right? 25 so years ago. We're in that early stage of Microsoft right now, right? This is the equivalent. So um people have gotten a taste of AI. They've seen how convenient it is for, their everyday life. I use AI damn near every day. So yeah, man, I'm not surprised that people are now starting to pivot away from actual medical professionals and now starting to seek, other advice from ChatGPT. So I'm not saying this is going to put doctors out of business, but it will spark a major change in the medical industry. And if they don't get this under control, man, I don't know what to tell them. So uh, you gotta be careful out here, man. Be careful out here getting your medical advice, getting your fitness advice from AI. I'm not saying don't use it for fitness or whatever, because it can be a useful tool, right? However, you do want to go with somebody that has experience. You do want to go with somebody that has real life hands-on experience that can tell you, what you should or shouldn't do. I'm not saying don't use AI for it, but at the same time, don't solely rely on AI. All right. Let's move on to the next article here. Where are we at with it, man? All right. So, all my runners out there. So, this article says runners have lower testosterone because the body trades muscle growth for performance efficiency. Endurance training rewires testosterone production across the hormonal axis as a performance adaptation. Studies show that endurance trained men have lower resting testosterone than sedentary men of the same age. A landmark study in the European Journal of Applied Physiology tested the full hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis and found not only lower baseline testosterone in endurance athletes, but also a reduced ability to increase production when hormonally stimulated. These changes appear to be adaptive rather than harmful. Lower testosterone may limit excess muscle mass, reduce body weight, and improve efficiency for endurance performance. Resistance training, by contrast, stimulates testosterone production, showing how different exercise style reshape hormonal physiology to match performance demands. Okay, so they're basically saying here that all y'all that just run, and this is something I've been saying for a long time, just as a fitness professional. Running alone, you guys, is not gonna get you healthy. I'm not saying that it's bad for you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't run. I'm not saying don't run. But if you're somebody that is trying to build muscle or just overall be in physical shape, um, I'm not saying don't run, but I am saying you do not want to just run. You also have to strength train, right? Because there's a bunch of people out here that, they run miles every single day, but they don't have the proper muscle definition, right? On So add on top of that, right? Add a bad diet on top of that. Add, you putting processed food in your body on top of that. So I mean, running alone isn't gonna do the trick. Running alone is not gonna do it. You have to lift weights. You have to do some type of strength resistance training. This is a requirement. You know, I know plenty of people that only run, right? They only do cardio. They only walk. These people tend to have a higher body fat percentage than those that strength train, than those that lift weights. than those that work out, with weights 3 times a week. It's just proven. You can still have a high body fat. You can still be prone to different types of diseases like, high blood pressure, uh, you know, different things of that. You can still be pre-diabetic. Just because you run doesn't make a big difference. You know, the biggest determining factors that are going to determine your testosterone level is what you eat and how you train. So if you're skipping the two most important things, it doesn't matter how many times you run, you know? So that's just for people that constantly, run. I know a lot of people that do marathons, they're endurance athletes, but you definitely have to add weights to your routine. It's the only way that that's going to help you build muscle mass. And if your goal is to raise your testosterone, if your testosterone is low, well, then you have to lift weights. That is damn near, a requirement, So just keep that in mind. If you think that, you're going to get in shape as far as physically and not lift weights, you know. So all right. Let's move on. I hope you guys are enjoying this show, man. Let's move on to the next article. I think we got one more over here, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's look at this article here. We got another New York Post article. This article says these symptoms are commonly overlooked in adults with autism, experts claim. What is it? All right. 1 in 36 children in the United States has autism, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. But many don't learn they're on the spectrum until adulthood. Those who grew up without a diagnosis can experience symptoms that are overlooked or misunderstood. 1 in every 45 adults in the US is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, according to Autism Speaks, a national nonprofit for autism awareness. Although there's a current uptick in autism advocacy and education, there are likely many adults who never received a diagnosis or were misdiagnosed, the New Jersey headquartered organization states on its website. ASD is defined by challenges with social communication and the presence of restricted or repetitive behaviors, according to the American Psychiatric Association. Some hallmarks of autism in adults are, as highlighted by Autism Speaks, include feeling awkward in social situations, having difficulty understanding the feelings of thoughts of others, preferring to be alone, struggling with making friends, and having trouble understanding social rules. Some verbal and nonverbal communication cues can include struggling with eye contact, responding in a blunt way, or taking things literally. Repetitive or restrictive behaviors, such as following the same routine every day, noticing small details that others wouldn't, and having very intense and specific interests, are also signs of potential autism, according to the same source. Adults with autism may not display every characteristic, and behaviors and interests may change with age. Major life changes, such as college moves, career transitions, or changes in family status like marriage, births, divorce, or death, can cause symptoms to shift. Damn. Well, damn, am I autistic? Shit. I might be autistic, man, because a lot of these sound like me. Dead ass. Hold on. What did it say about the symptoms? Hold on. Let's bring this back up real quick. Hold on. Let's check out some of these symptoms, right? Um, what did it say? It says some hallmarks of autism in adults are, as highlighted by Autism Speaks, include feeling awkward in social situations. I don't feel like that. I don't. That's not me. Having difficulty understanding the feelings or thoughts of others. Nah, that's not me. Preferring to be alone. That is kind of me. I do prefer to be alone at times. Struggling with making friends and having trouble understanding social rules. That's not me. Okay, so We're about one for what is this? One, two, three. So one for four, right? All right. So I'm one for four right now. And I think they had some more. Um, okay, this said repetitive or restrictive behaviors such as following the same routine every day. That's me. I do follow the same routine every day to a certain degree. Noticing small details that others wouldn't. Um, give or take, right? Give or take. And having very intense and specific interests. I don't know what that means, but yeah, okay. So this is about what, seven things? One, two, and three. So I'm about two for seven. I'm about two for seven on this one. So I might be slightly autistic if this is the case. I may or may not be slightly autistic, you know. So I don't know. It does explain a lot, but I don't know, man. Autism is a very strange thing. Um, I think it's a new thing, really. This is something that I've never heard of until maybe a few years ago. I'm pretty sure it's always been around, or maybe I'm just living under a rock. I don't fucking know, but um, I didn't hear about autism when I was a kid. I didn't hear about autism until I was maybe about in high school. This was about 12, 13 years ago, right? I think that might be the first time I heard about autism. And even then, back then, in the early 2010s, it really wasn't a thing that was talked about. At least not around me or not in the circles that I ran with, right? We didn't know too many kids that were labeled autistic. I don't maybe they were, I don't know, but for me, bro, I've never when I was in high school, even middle school, I never met any autistic kids, you know. But hey, man, that explains why there's a lot of these weird motherfuckers out here. There's a lot of weird, a lot of this shit makes sense. The way people act, man, this is the reason. Yes, okay, now it makes sense as to why so many people are just fucking weirdos in this day and age. Because there's a lot of people out here that are walking around misdiagnosed or undiagnosed. And I'm not trying to shit on any people that's autistic, shout out to y'all, but it explains a lot. It explains a whole lot as to why we have certain people out here, man, moving the way they do. It explains a whole lot. So, hey, I'm not surprised, man. They said 1 out of 45 people, man. I think it's more than that. I think it's way more than that. You know, I think a lot of these Gen Z kids are autistic. If we're being frank, a lot of these kids are awkward, don't look you in the eye, you know, weirdos. A lot of these young Gen Z kids are autistic, man. So I think so. But let me get off this subject before I get canceled out here. Anyway, man, let's move on. Make sure y'all hit that like button, please, and thank you. All right, we're going in today. Hit that like button, please, and thank you. All right, let's move on to our next segment. We are on What the Fitness. All right, so this lady here talks about, let's refresh this video. This lady says weight loss is a public humiliation ritual. All right, let's see what she says about this.
Weight loss is a public humiliation ritual. A lot of people know that the cost of success is often embarrassment, but the cost of success is also being misunderstood, and that misunderstanding can occur in perpetuity. I'm currently going through the third humiliation ritual in my life, but the second one was losing weight and trying to be healthier. You cannot over explain yourself and why you do certain things. In the beginning of my weight loss journey, I would ask for a double chicken at the dining hall and get side eyes because you big as hell, you want double chicken. I would go to the gym and train to failure at 250 pounds. Why are you training that hard? You still have all that fat on you. These little misunderstandings made me feel very uncomfortable It made me feel like I was doing something wrong. But you have to understand that in those pockets of discomfort, even if it feels very heavy, that is where the growth is happening. You, you have to get comfortable with being misunderstood on your weight journey, your health journey, your growth journey, because this is where you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have trial and error. You're going to have to do different things. And if you waste your time explaining to people, apologizing to people on why you can't go out to eat or why you act a certain way you do, you are going to paralyze yourself and your ability to make progress. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. No one has to understand you, but you have to trust that the results will speak for themselves. I love y'all and have a great morning. Come on.
Shout out to her, man. Very well spoken, very well put. Um, I mean, I've said this before, man. Anything that is, excuse me, anything that is worth having, is gonna be very, is gonna be very uncomfortable at first. Anything that's worth having, anything that is hard to obtain, hard to achieve, is gonna be very difficult in the beginning. It's gonna be very uncomfortable. Why? Because you're not used to being in this situation, right? That goes for anything, right? Tomorrow I can go drive a box truck. Never drove a truck in my life. In that situation, I'm going to be very uncomfortable because I'm always thinking about the worst case scenario. I'm thinking about, oh shit, what the fuck if I hit somebody? There's going to be a lot of thoughts going through my head, right? However, if I keep driving that motherfucker, if I start getting better at it, if I work at it every single day, if I practice, yeah, I'm gonna eventually get better at driving a box truck. Or we can even go as far as, you know, trying to make music or rap or sing or play an instrument. It's gonna be very uncomfortable. It's gonna be embarrassing because you're gonna be terrible at it, right? It is, yes. If she wants to put it that way, I wouldn't necessarily put it that way about it being a public humiliation ritual. I wouldn't go that far, but I get what she's saying, right? As far as you putting yourself out there to be publicly scrutinized or embarrassed because you're doing something that you've never done before, I can see that happening. Yes, it's publicly embarrassing, but I wouldn't call it a humiliation ritual. Y'all be thinking everything is a goddamn humiliation ritual, but I get what she's saying in that sense, mainly because um it's something that you're not used to doing. And when you're not used to doing something, yes, it's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be embarrassing to do, you know. But if you dedicate yourself to keep on showing up every single day, despite how you feel, right? How I talked about earlier in the show about me streaming for these past 90 days, you show up, you know, despite how you feel, despite how heavy that fucking bar feels on your back, how, hungry you are, how tired you are, how sore you feel, you're irritable because you're not eating the same food that you used to eat. Now you're eating very lean cut pieces of meat, complex carbohydrates. You're no longer putting hella salt and sugar in your food now. Now everything is digestible, right? It's uncomfortable. But if you keep showing up every single day, it gets easier over time. It gets doable, right? It may not get easier, right? Because working out is always going to be a very strenuous activity, but it gets what's the word I'm looking for? It gets manageable, right? You can manage it better. So that's the key in this whole situation. You get to manage it better as you keep doing it. So Um, yeah, man. Weight loss journey, starting a new instrument, learning a new skill. It's embarrassing. It can be very embarrassing, right? You feel like people are judging you. You feel like people are looking at you like you don't know what the hell you're doing. I feel like this. I felt like this when I first started to learn how to box, right? Mainly when I first started to learn how to hold mitts. so people can punch into it. I was horrible at it. I felt like everybody was looking at me like, oh, this motherfucker doesn't know how to hold the mitts right. But even though I felt like I looked stupid, I kept showing up every single day. I kept getting better at it. And eventually I got good at it, right? I'm still not, I don't feel like I'm, you know, immensely skillful at it, but I do feel like I can hold my own, right? I do feel very confident in what I'm doing. So that's just me, man. So if you're gonna be trying something new for the first time, just be prepared to be embarrassed because it's gonna happen to you. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna get embarrassed. You're gonna feel stupid. You're gonna feel awkward. But once that goes away, it's gonna be nothing. All right, let's move on to the next video in What the Fitness. Make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Who remembers the rapper producer Lil Jon? Well, if you guys don't know, Lil Jon is back in the news, and this time he has a new look, man. He has completely changed his life, his whole outlook. He got some new teeth, as it shows. And the biggest thing, man, he got a brand new body. He been in that gym working out, and it says Lil Jon revealed to Rock the Bells how one phone call changed his life for the better. The super producer recently announced that he will be performing at Red Bull Lance, Red Bull Dancer style. But as you guys can see, look at Lil Jon, man.
What's inspired your health journey?
Well, I've been kind of on a health journey for a while. And then when I got the call about Super Bowl, I wanted to look really good on the stage. So I called a good friend of mine, Jay Galvin, and I was like, will you train me? We used to party when he used to live in New York. He would always take me out to all the clubs in New York, and we was partying, drinking shots all night, pizza at 4 5 a.m. And then he moved to LA and he got lost the dad bod and turned into a bodybuilder. And so I was like, he's the perfect person to call because I want to look good on that stage. And I called him. He got me in shape for Super Bowl. And then after Super Bowl, I was like, I want to be on the cover of Men's Health. I feel like I look good, but we gotta keep it going. And then I was also like, he had gotten into Venice Muscle Beach competition the year before Super Bowl, and he was also telling me yo, we would have whipped you all the way into shape. You would have been able to place or win. And I was like, after Super Bowl, let's do it. So we started training after Super Bowl, and I wanted to enter in July, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't lean enough. And so Labor Day came around. We was a couple weeks out. I was still not where I wanted to be. But I said, you know what? I don't want to push this off. I want to go ahead and start getting my feet wet. And I went and entered anyway, and I placed third. It was a phenomenal accomplishment because no one in entertainment has ever entered Muscle Beach. People that have gone from bodybuilding to entertainment, but no one has ever entered Muscle Beach that's from my profession or whatever. No one. So I'm the first to do it, and this is not just something about I just want to be a bodybuilder. It's also a lifestyle change for me. I want to be here a long time. It's all about health. I'm pushing out meditation, so it's mental health, it's physical health, it's watching what you put in your body. So all of those things are priority to me right now, and I'm just gonna keep it going. I'm 4 pounds leaner than I was when I did the competition. I'm like, how did this happen? Because I didn't slack, but I wasn't like, I gotta get, I'm 5 days away. I can't eat this, I can't eat that. I was just kind of regular, and I lost 4 pounds. I guess my body is just in that zone, and I'm just still going. I'm just getting leaner and leaner. I'm, getting stronger and stronger. So it's a lifestyle for me, and we're gonna keep it going.
Shout out to Lil Jon, man. As y'all can see, man, once you change your body, man, you just become a lot more calmer, right? Once you get in shape, once you finally lose all that excess fat, once you finally lose that belly fat, you put on muscle, you just do a whole complete 180 with your life. You just become more calmer. You can see he's just a lot calmer now. If y'all follow Lil Jon back in the day, he is a wild motherfucker, man. He's a wild dude, you know. So man, shout out to him, bro. And I love seeing celebrities change their lifestyle around, because if you guys know about the entertainment business, man, and I train a lot of people in the entertainment business, um I'm gonna say they are some of the most unhealthiest. They are some of the most unhealthy people I've trained. Mainly because the lifestyle that they live in that entertainment space is not conducive to health. Mainly if you're an artist, a producer, an engineer, someone in the music business. Mainly this is the music. This is for the music business, right? In the film industry is a lot different. It's still entertainment, but they're still pretty healthy because they always got to be on camera. It's a lot more corporate. So they want you to look good. They push looking good. So film is different than music. That's what I notice a lot, especially when training um people on film as opposed to people in the music industry. Is the ones in the music industry, they live a very unhealthy lifestyle, very unhealthy. They're up late. You heard them up till 5 in the morning, eating pizza, taking shots, sleeping in all day, waking up at 2 p.m., you know, and then doing it all over again. So to live that lifestyle, man, it's very taxing on the body. It can do a lot of damage physically, not to mention mentally. So you see a lot of guys that they self-medicate because you're not getting any sleep. So naturally you're going to be depressed, you know? So how it works is most guys in the industry, you always see them on drugs or high or drunk. They have to stimulate their minds because they have to get their minds off of, reality. And reality is when they're off these drugs, these medications, they're probably not in the best mental space because one, they're not drinking enough water. They're pounding away alcohol every single day. They're alcoholics. And two, which is the main part, is a lot of times they're not getting any sleep. They're up all fucking night, partying, working, making music, whatever the case is, running around, clubbing. So when you're not getting adequate sleep, on top of not drinking water, on top of not getting any exercise or putting the right food in your body, you're asking to be depressed. You're asking for your mental health to decline. This is the recipe for a horrible mental health situation. That's why you see so many people or artists really in the music industry, they have so many goddamn health problems. They have so many goddamn mental health issues because their lifestyle does not dictate them having a great mental health or just great health overall. So, I love seeing when rappers get in shape, man. I love seeing Lil Jon get in shape. I love seeing when, Gunna just got in shape. We got to start seeing more of this, man, mainly because we live in a world where no one's going to listen to me. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter how big I get, right? It doesn't matter how big I get. I can have 1 million followers. I can have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, whatever the case is. I still would not have the same influence as a Gunna, as a Little John, mainly because they're in the mainstream media. So they're going to have a bigger machine behind them, right? So it's important for us to see celebrities really push health now because we need the masses to start seeing this. They have fans, they have people that support them, right? We just saw Gunna do a run club in New York. I guarantee you half of those motherfuckers never ran a day in their life or since high school, but they was out there though because it's Gunna. because he's their favorite artist, right? So it's important that we see more examples of celebrities or just, artists that have big fan bases really push the narrative of getting healthier, being in shape, eating right. These are who these kids are listening to. These are who the mass population is listening to. You know what I mean? So I'm all here for it, man. Shout out to Lil Jon, bro. This is I love seeing things like this. So happy to see it, man. Very happy to see it. All right, I think we have one more article, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get to it here. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. We almost there. Where are we at with it? All right. All right. So this video says genetics forcing fat people to eat thousands of calories from sugar and fast food every single day. All right, let's check it out. Shout out to Homer Simpson.
More.
Okay. So genetics forcing fat people to eat thousands of calories from sugar and fast food every day. So if you guys don't get the joke, there is a running joke within fat people, mainly that I normally see, is that they always claim that they are fat because of genetics. It's because of their great great grandpappy was fat, and then his great great grandpappy was fat, and they just passed on the fat gene, through generations. This is the mindset of these people, right? This is how they think. This is the excuses that they constantly give as to why they are fat, blubbling rejects. This is the reasons why they are giving you the excuse as to why, they can't stop fucking eating so goddamn much. This is the reason. It runs in my family. Nobody runs in your family. That's the reason why you look like this. Nobody in your family has great habits, right? Nobody understands portion control. Nobody understands proteins and macronutrients, right? And not eating until you're full. This is what, it runs in most people's families. So we're not going to say it's a genetic thing. No, this is a choice. You choose to be fat. Nobody puts a fork to your face or a gun to your head and say, eat this. No, you choose to overeat. All right. You choose to be a big back. You choose to be a fat slob, a fat pig. You choose to have man titties. These are all things that you choose. Nobody forces you to do any of these things. Right? Don't blame genetics. Don't blame thyroid. Don't blame any of these things. These are all your personal choices. These are all things that you decided that you're going to do and continue to do, right? Which is what led you here. So whenever I hear, fat people talk about, oh man, it's my genetics, oh man, this and this and that, it goes in one ear and out the other. I don't have time to hear that shit. Because one thing, I look at your habits. Your habits dictate, what your choices are going to be. And your choices are going to dictate how you look. So if you got poor habits, 9 times out of 10, you're going to make poor choices. And poor choices typically range in you eating like shit. So it's not genetics, big dog. It's you. It's your habits. It's your choices. All right. We are at the 50-minute mark, man. Let's get into the main event. Shout out to everybody in here. We're going in today, man. We're going to keep it simple, nice and straight to the point today. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button before we hit the main event. Today, man, we are talking about 5 things that will happen once you get in shape. So I want you guys to understand this, man, that when you get in shape, it's not just about having a good body, right? Yes, it's nice to have a great body. Yes, it's great, to showcase off of what you've been working so hard for. But it's more than that, right? It's how you feel. It's how you feel about yourself. It's so many things that come into having a great body, having a great physique, just being an overall great physical shape, you know. And we're gonna break this down in a second, but these are things that most people dream of, you know, because everyone thinks that, oh man, if I just got in shape, man, everything will be all right. It would, but that would require you to change your habits. And most people are not going to do that. So when you do this, when you separate yourself from everybody else, you just put yourself in the best position to have one leg up on a majority of the population. You guys don't know we have an obesity crisis in this country. We have a very big overweight issue here in the United States. So if you're in tip top shape, right? If you're under 18% body fat, you've just beat you've just landed yourself in the top 10% of men physically. That's all it takes, bro. The bar is very low out here. Let me just tell you right now, the bar is extremely low to be in the 10 to 20% tile of men in the physical shape department. The bar is very low out here. You don't have to try that hard, right? It is actually very easy to be in that range. It's actually very easy to be in the top 5%, if we're being honest. You know, the biggest thing is to stop overeating. That's number one. And then two, just prioritize protein, get exercise, sleep, but these are things that most people find to be a hassle. Most people think that this is just, it's too complicated to do these things. But they don't realize it's not just about, you know, having these doing these minute tasks. This is a small task compared to what you're going to experience on the back end, right? This is just a small task. Doing the basics, eating right, working out 3 times a week on the minimum. These are just small, simple tasks, right? The biggest things are on the other side, but a majority of people will never ever see that other side because they can't even do the simple task, right? So when I say, you know, you can put yourself in the top 10 to 20%, even 5% by just doing these basic tasks, you can get this done very quickly, man. You can get it done really in 3 months, 3 to 6 months. If we're being completely honest here, 3 to 6 months is all it takes. If you're someone that's overweight, if you're someone that, hasn't, isn't really on a fitness plan or whatever, it just takes 3 to 6 months, man. But the reason why I want you guys to get in shape, let me get back to my point here. Shout out to John Morant in the building. Shout out to you, brother. But the reason why I want y'all to get in shape is because of the benefits that come with it, right? I want you guys to understand what happens after you get in shape. This is what most people are not going to tell you. They just think that, okay, just get a good body, and you're going to feel good, and, you're going to look good. That's great. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but they're missing some critical components here. And these critical components have the potential to really change your whole trajectory in life. So we're going to talk about the first one, right? The first one is your confidence and your energy. You guys, it's very hard to really make it through life if you don't have these two things: confidence and energy. You need confidence to know that you can get things done. You need confidence to believe in yourself. You need confidence to, make people believe you. And you need the energy to get things done. So if you don't have these two things, it's going to be very hard to perform out here. So what happens when you get in shape is that these things just naturally go up, right? You used to have man titties. As a man, you were at 25% body fat. In 3 months, now you're at 18. In 6 months, now you're at 13, 14, right? Now you have defined abs. Now you have veins popping out of your arms. Now your chest is starting to get more defined. This is going to raise anybody's confidence level. This is going to shoot your confidence level through the fucking roof. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. This is what happens when you get in shape, right? And as a result of that, your testosterone goes up, which means what? Your energy goes up. So now you're operating at a higher level than you were 6 months ago because you made the decision to make these small changes. Now you feel better about yourself, right? Now you can get more things done. How do you think this affects your social life, your professional life, your work life, your relationships, right? All these things intertwine with you just being in shape. This is what happens. This is the side effects. This is the byproduct of you taking life serious, right? So that's number one. And I think that to me is maybe the most important one. Number two is the way people treat you. When you're a guy that's in great shape, when people notice that you take yourself serious, they're going to notice that, right? And the result of that is you're going to have people just making random conversation with you. You don't see people making random conversation with fat motherfuckers, right? You don't see people making random conversation with ugly motherfuckers. No, people naturally talk to attractive people. And when you get in shape, you're going to be more attractive. So this is a result of that. Now you can start, chopping up random conversation with people. This could be other men, pause. This could be women, sometimes attractive women, sometimes not so attractive women, but your social life starts to change. People start to make conversation with you. People start wanting to be around you more, This is the side effects, as I always say, of you being in great shape. You just become more of a social magnet, right? People just gravitate towards you more because when you're in shape, it signifies trust, leadership, confidence, you know, reliability. These are all things that people look for, especially women when they're looking to, mate with somebody or, take somebody serious or get interested in somebody. These are all things that they look for. So when you display these things, you just made yourself a magnet, a target in a good way, right? So people treat you, and this is not just about women, this is about other people just in general. So you have to be prepared for different opportunities that happen. You know what I'm saying? People might start inviting you out to different events now, They might start putting you in different rooms that you never thought you'd be in. Yeah, John Moran says enhance your outside, your inside, confidence, mood. Oh yeah, all that goes up. We just talked about that. Yeah, all that goes up. You're gonna start getting invited to a lot more events. Yeah, social life is gonna start to get better, right? You're gonna want to be out more now because you want to show off your hard work. These are all the side effects. So you're gonna notice that happen to you now, right? These are all great things, positive things. You can't tell me what is the only can someone please name me one negative thing about getting in shape besides, the intensity of that you put on your body, the pressure that you put on your body, but can someone else name anything besides that? Any other negative attribute that comes with you being in shape or getting in shape? You can't name one. Everything is positive. So whenever I see people talk about, oh man, it's too hard to get in shape. Oh, I just don't have the energy. Like, bro, you may not have the energy now, but once you put yourself in position, that energy is going to be there. You just don't give yourself a shot. Right? So we just talked about your social life. Yeah, I'll wait, bro. You can't name me one thing. Name me one bad thing about getting in shape. I'll wait. Insane. The next thing is So we talked about your social life, right? So this is a kind of a catch 22. When your social life improves, you also are very selective now about where you go. So you're not gonna be in a lot of places that you used to be at, right? You might not be in the bar, the club, you know, start going to parties a lot more. Yeah, you might frequent those here and there, but you're not gonna be in there as much. Excuse me. Mainly because of there's gonna be things in there that you don't really, relate to anymore. Once you get to a certain level in fitness, alcohol really doesn't it's not really something that you really aspire to do anymore. I'm not saying fit people don't drink, but most people that are in very tip-top shape, they rarely drink alcohol. At least not to the level that they used to when they weren't in shape, right? You start to be very mindful about, the type of calories you put in your body, what you put in your body as a whole, right? So alcohol is probably the biggest one. So you're not going to be a very big drinker like that. If you do, it might be something light in calories. It might be, a wine. It might be, a club soda, right? So your taste buds are going to change. Food isn't going to taste the same anymore. Yes, you might have a cheat meal here and there, keyword here and there, but it's not going to be an everyday occurrence. You look forward to cheat days mainly because your taste buds have changed. Rather than eating chicken wings and fries, no, you rather go home and eat chicken and rice, chicken and sweet potato, steak and eggs, right? You value this over traditional outside food. You don't really eat out as much. You start to meal prep now. You start to, even maybe if you have a couple dollars, hire a meal prep service. So your taste buds are going to change along with, how you socialize. So those two are intertwined, right? That's very important. Um Number 4, I think we kind of hit on this. Uh I think I already put those together. Yeah, the food and alcohol was 4. Excuse me. So food and alcohol was 4, your social life and how what you choose to be around is 3. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Um but yeah, man, and then I would say the last one is, man, your standards change, bro. You just stop hanging around certain people altogether. Like you rarely have a lot of overweight friends. And if they are overweight, they're definitely making a change to it. Because, man, and I hate to say this, I hate to single people out, but having a lot of fat friends as a fit person is really not making you any better, right? And I'm talking about the ones that don't work out, that refuse to work out, that choose to live a very unhealthy lifestyle. Having those people as friends really doesn't really do you any add any benefit to you. Mainly if you're someone that's on a journey, I'm not saying stop being friends with them. I'm not saying, cut them off, but hanging out with them, all the time. Cuz when you're around them, they're going to want to do fat person shit, right? This is just the nature of fat people. Like when you're around them, they're gonna want to do fat people shit. They're gonna want to go, you know, go to the drive-through. They're gonna want to go get the extra large fries, right? They're gonna want to go get takeout. Like they're just gonna do things that are counterproductive to your goals. And this is why when people get in shape, they start to hang around the people that they go to the gym with, right? They start to be around more of the gym community because the gym community is going to hold you accountable more. Your fat friend is not going to hold you accountable. Your fat friend is going to want to partake in fat friend shit. So you're going to keep your fat friend at a distance, especially if they have no intentions of fixing their fatness, if they have no intentions of losing any weight. Well, okay, I got to keep you at a distance because your habits are going to rub off on me, mainly because bad habits are easier to influence than good habits. I'm more likely to gain bad habits hanging with you than you are to gain good habits hanging with me. It's just how it is. Why? Because bad habits are easier. Good habits are harder. And one thing we know about humans, human beings do not like to do hard stuff. We like to do the path of least resistance. So if we have two options, hey, this is the easy path, this is the hard path. What do you think a majority of people are going to choose? What do you think is going to be their first thought? You know? So this is just the nature of people, man. We are programmed to make things easier for us. We DoorDash, we take the elevator rather than walk, you know? So it's just programmed in society for us to be lazier. So you really have to fight against that shit. So your standards overall are going to change, from the people that you hang around, from just how your whole lifestyle is going to be different. So these are 5 things that will happen to you guys as you guys change for the better, right? Because it will change for the better once you get in shape. There really are no negative outcomes to you getting in shape. So these are all great side effects. These are all things that you strive to have. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, man, just be mindful of that. So if you guys are looking to change, if you guys are looking to get back in shape, if you guys are lost as to how do I start to get in shape, where do I begin, make sure y'all hit my free 7-day fat loss guide. I put it in the chat. So you guys can get that, man, free of charge. You niggas like free shit. So here you go. Free of charge, man. So make sure you guys tap in with that. And yeah, man, this has been a great show. I think it was a very simple show, straight to the point. I appreciate you guys for just showing support, man. And yeah, we'll be back on Friday morning, Friday at 12. So we'll be back. And if you guys have any topics that you guys want me to cover, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. I'm always open to new topics to talk about. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the comments, and I'll be sure to make a video about it. And yeah, so in the meantime, man, y'all have a great rest of y'all night. And I will see you guys Friday afternoon, man. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. Peace.